As you may know, in order to make a professional drum recording, you should at least have an 8-channel interface, but what if you don't have one? In order to make a professional drum recording, you'll need a lot of mics and a lot of inputs, so you can close mic most of your drum kit. If you close mic most of your drum kit, you'll have a lot of flexibility when it comes time for mixing, and you'll easily make it sound heavy and punchy like I know you want to. But some of us can't afford many mics and can't afford 8-channel or more interfaces, and we want to record drums anyway. My interface, for example, only allows me to plug 4 mics at once directly. Fortunately, it has a lot of cool features on the back, so it allows me to connect external gear, so I'm able to record up to 18 channels at once. But if I had no external gear, I would have to record drums with only 4 mics, or I wouldn't be able to record drums at all. So I decided to make an experience to determine if I could end up with a cool sounding drum mix using no more than 4 mics. Here we have a drum recording I made a little more than a year ago. My bro Fred was the one playing the drums. He has a very cool death metal thing going on called Ghostlight. I'll leave the link below because I know you all want to hear it. Back then I used like 10 mics or so to record these drums, but for this experience I got rid of all mics except for the snare top mic, the kick drum mic, and the 2 overheads. And here in my DAW I made an attempt to make it sound as professional as possible. Let's have a listen. Not bad in my opinion, but it's not pro sounding either. The kick drum is enhanced with a sample. The original kick drum was too big of a kick drum at 24 inches, if I'm not mistaken. So we muffled it. It ended up sounding a little muffled. So I needed a sample to recover some punch of that kick drum. I didn't make it sound clicky. In this case I don't need it to sound clicky because I don't have a wall of guitars, bass and vocals to pierce through. You can hear the kick drum very well and it sounds natural this way. The snare also has a little bit of sample enhancement, just because I needed a little bit more of lower mids, give a little more body. The tom you heard, that one has a lot of sample. That one is almost 100% sample, because I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the tuning we used that day, but you could hear it very well on the overheads. So not close miking it was not the problem in this case. As I said, it's not bad, but it's no pro sounding either. And I think the reason why is because it has no soul. There's something missing. That something missing, I think, are the room mics. We need the room mics. So we already recorded drums. Where will we get room mics now? Ship trick number 1. I grabbed 2 mics, 2 condensers, and placed them right there in my hallway, in my house. They are a small and a large diaphragm mic. I switched the polarity of the large diaphragm mic to a figure of 8, so I can combine them and use the MS stereo technique. So the small diaphragm gets the sound coming from the middle and the large diaphragm from the sides. Then I grab the 4 tracks we're talking about here, the kick, the snare and the overheads, unprocessed, and play them through my monitors and record them with those 2 mics. And they sound just like the real deal. They are real room mics. They sound amazing in my opinion. But don't be mistaken by my opinion. Have your own. Let's have a listen with and without them. Okay, the drum kit sounds much better, in my opinion at least, and I think they are doing their job right here. Yep, chip trick number one is very cool, but there's a chip trick number two that is not as cool as chip trick number one, that's why it's number two, but it's very practical. This trick is very practical, although it doesn't sound as good as the other. This trick is very practical because you don't need any mics to perform this trick. Imagine you don't have any mics at hand, it's just you and your computer. You really need those room tracks. How will you get it? I'll show you. Well, what I did, I duplicated my snare track and loaded into that track this plugin. It's a channel strip, an SSL emulation from Plugin Alliance. I focused in this area of the plugin that is a gate slash expander and used it to remove the bleed from the snare. After that, I pushed this button to invert what I was listening to. Now I only have the bleed. What's the bleed? It's everything but the snare. In this case, but the loudest parts of the snare, because I can listen to the snare a little bit too. So yeah, that's it. You have another room track by using the bleed from the snare you recorded. Obviously, I need to do some post-processing, adjust the dynamic range, add a little reverb to it, but it's a pretty decent room tracks. Let's have a listen and compare with and without this track. It's not perfect, but you can improve your drum recording with this trick. Having the opportunity to choose between one of these two methods, I would prefer the first one, the one with the mics, because it sounds way more organic, but you can experiment with the second one, and the second one has its perks. It's easier, you don't need extra mics. So yeah, I'm happy with both results. With the first experiment, the one with the mics, I think if we did not achieve pro sounding drums, we achieved almost pro sounding drums, and it's amazing because we used only 4 tracks. And when you hear drums in a song, people rarely record it with only 4 mics. There are always way more mics, so I'm very happy with my 4 mic drum mix. Some people wouldn't do it like I did it. Some people would just throw some reverb on the overheads instead of creating room tracks. It might work from them, they might do an amazing job, but it doesn't work for me, at least in heavy music, in a heavy music context, because I prefer to use the overhead just for the cymbals. I cut off all the low end from my overheads and use the room tracks to glue the whole kit together. But some people use the overheads to glue the whole kit together. I don't think it works for me, so I do it this way. So no matter how cheap or expensive is your studio, home studio, or recording stuff, just have fun with it and make the best you can with what you have. Bye.